Don't you know me? Don't you know that that's a possibility that could never happen? It is our time to do all we can do, and it's an urgent time. Don't you know that?
And now, Burnie Thompson, where the golden age of radio lives on.
It looks like a lot of millennials. Do you know who millennials are? Millennials are young people. What age would I be in? What am I considered? Am I a baby boomer? Or did I miss that? I was born in 1967. Am I a baby boomer? When does that start? What is that era? The baby boomer era. I think I missed that, didn't I? I'm not a boomer. I'm something else. What was after that? I don't even remember. But the millennials, the young people in America, they're not digging it. As a matter of fact, according to a poll, a lot of them wouldn't mind leaving the America that they helped create. Actually, that's not fair to say. Actually, that's not fair to say. More accurately, they don't like America. They thought they would. They thought they would like America, but they don't like America that much. And why don't they like America that much? Well, there are a lot of reasons why. But I would say one of them is because it has snuffed out the American dream. It has snuffed out the American dream. I mean, do you think it has? You are under, young people know this. I saw your daughters today. Oh, thank you very much. Baby boomers to 1964, 46 to 64. I'm reading messages on Periscope. If you're listening and you'd like to communicate with me during the show, Periscope's where it's at. It's a new app. It takes about a minute to. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Don't download Periscope on your phone. It's too much fun. It is too cool. Don't do it. See, I used to tell people to do stuff and they never did it. And then I learned that when I say don't do it, they do it. And so it's an app that allows you to watch the show by pressing my phone. Your phone will go, hey, my whistler's working, and then you can watch the show. But if you don't take the minute and a half to download it and to follow at Burnie Thompson, well, then I'm telling you, you're gonna miss out on a hell of a lot of fun. But so baby boomers, 1946 to 1964. I missed out on that. So what comes after baby boomers? What am I? Millennials are the 20-somethings, right? So millennials, we all got to be something. Thanks so much. God bless you and your family on the 4th of July, Felix. So let's think here. You ought to incorporate it in your real estate business. Listen, you can incorporate it you can use it to show family birthdays. You can do all kinds of things with Periscope. I'm looking on the ground for. I have a little button. See, those of you who are watching, I have a little button down here. It's like like if you were playing piano, something that you step on, so that if I cough, they can't hear me on the radio. But unfortunately, on Periscope, you can hear me. Watch. If I step on this, watch what I can do. I can say anything. Watch. I'm gonna step on this, and now you listening or on YouTube, you're not gonna be able to hear this. But watch. Now we're back live, and they didn't hear a thing. That is called a cough button, because usually I have a problem with my voice. You notice it? It's usually crackly and hoarse, but lately it's been holding up just fine. But I can step on that button and on that little thing down there, the pedal. It's more of a pedal. So if you've ever saw me do the show at the Liberty Lounge, sometimes I'll tell you what, I'd be hacking it up, or I'd step on it and yell over, and I'd ask Dayton for something. Generation X, 1965 to 1979. I'm Generation X. Okay, 1965 to 1979. I'm Generation X. What generation are you? That'd be a good question. A little demographic check on who's listening. Generation X, huh? So we got the baby boomers, Generation X, millennials. So what would be in between? Like, what would, for example, Miss Sarah Moon be? Miss Sarah Moon, I know you're never supposed to tell a woman's age, but she's 33, so she came after. She was born in 1981. So what would she be? What are they called? Isn't there a name for them? Oh, what was the name for them? I can't remember. Do you remember? I don't know why this is important. I'm just trying to put us in boxes. They put us in boxes. I'm just trying to figure it out. And the reason I bring this all up is there is a new story that millennials are not happy. Happy Canada Day? Okay. Generation Y. How do you know all these things? Okay, so Generation Y. Is that true, or are you messing with me? So she's Generation Y. Geez, sounds like chromosomes here. Historic step, says Obama. He's taken another historic step. Oh, I brought that all up because of a news story that Obama millennials want to leave the America they created. They're not happy with it, and I don't blame them. Would you be happy? A new poll from TransferWise shows that 35% of those born in the United States would consider ditching their home country to live elsewhere. That number skyrockets among those aged 18 to 34, the so-called millennials, 55% of whom said they would think of taking off if given a chance. They don't love America. Why don't they love America? And do you love America? This is a real question. It's one of those questions that sounds like a silly question up front, but it's really actually an important question. If you think about it, do you love America? Why not? It's in those answers you can find out a lot about people. You can really find out a lot about people. And I don't mean their loyalty. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what they view as America. I have to know what age group to market a particular real estate property to, says a real estate agent using Periscope. Do you love America? Do you know that Dennis Prager talks about this? And I love Dennis Prager, if you're familiar with him. He's a talk show host and has been for, 30 years. And he lives in Los Angeles. And he was the first talk show host that I really became enamored of. And he really made me want to do this, to be honest with you. He was very important to me, Dennis Prager. And he talks about loving America and do you love America? And what does it even mean? I'm telling you that Obama, one of the other hallmarks of this new America is resenting the country, because Obama resents America. And he always has. I mean, if you listen to his, first of all, isn't it weird that somebody in their 30s would have a memoir? Rubio did this too. It's a political move. But I find that almost creepy. Could you imagine having I'm 47, and having a memoir is kind of like, I hope that I have a lot more things to add into it, right? Isn't it kind of creepy to have a memoir at 30-something? And in Obama's memoir, he talked a lot about how he worked really hard to pick his friends in college, the Chicanos. Remember that? The structural feminists. Everybody who hates America. Everybody who hates America. The question is, do you love America? It's not sometimes, you hear something, you think, oh, that's an easy question. It's not as easy as you think. Do you love America? Are you pissed at America? Oh, welcome, Daily Cruz. EC's in the house. I'm so glad to have him. If you are not following on Twitter at I am Cruz, CREWS, the real black courage, you're missing out. I get so pumped up when you're here. Thanks, EC, for being here. And the question that I'm asking, and it sounds like a silly one, and I bring it up because of this story. I'm gonna cradle you, and I'm gonna gently turn you around. Here you go. Look, Obama millennials want to leave America they created, and if you look at this, it says a new poll shows 35% of them would consider ditching their home. The bottom line is, look, the rationale for staying in America articulated by Americans are particularly weak. 59 say they would stay because it's home. 58 say they would stay thanks to the romantic and family ties. All of which makes sense given that America has been moving in the wrong direction with regard to preservation of a democratic society. I would call it a republic. A common culture, now that's important, common culture. A good future for children, wealth, low crime, low taxes. You know what they leave out? They leave out liberty. They really do. They leave out liberty. And let me tell you something. My answer is, I love America. I'm ticked off at the government. And it's you can do that. Because a lot of people confuse something. This is very important. What I'm about to say, I hope you'll remember. And politicians need to be reminded of this. We are a country with a government, not a government with a country. Right? That could be that is another one of if we had little sort of what do they call them? Position statements, right? That would be one of our position statements of the show, where ideas collide and reason prevails, right? I don't give an argument. I care about pursuing the truth. And the truth, by the way, is elusive. I believe there is truth, but I think it's elusive. A lot of people think, oh man, it's easy. It's right. It's black and white. It's sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's not easy. It's elusive, and the way you find it is when ideas collide. Pursuit of the truth is what this show is about, and also the understanding that we don't have the monopoly on truth. There has to be a certain amount of humility, being humble about it. Listen, if I were right more than 51% of the time, and if I knew that for sure, I could play the stock market and be one wealthy son of a gun. But I'm not. I don't have a monopoly on truth. And as I like to say, I'm the first one to admit when I'm wrong. The problem is I'm usually the last one to know. And isn't that the case with all of us, right? But we are a country with a government, not a government with a country. And that is where Obama conflates it. He wants you to believe, and this is what my former congressman here, Boss Hogg, Alan Boyd. I always get those two guys confused. Boss Hogg, Alan Boyd. Alan Boyd used to say this. He used to say this regarding public school. He used to say that the government is us. It's we. We're together. We are the government. The government. No, the people are the people, and the government's the government. There's a bright line between that. And I'll tell you where that bright line is. The government has the legal monopoly power to initiate force against other people. You and I can't do that. See, right now, my county commission, a bunch of, what did we call them? What did we call them again? OAWPs. My county commission consists of 5 OAWPs, and that stands for old ass white politicians. And they act just like it too. 5 old ass white politicians. We ought to stick in crony somewhere. They're also the WIFMs, by the way. The What's in It for Me GOP. They're all Republicans, every one of these guys. But they are infected with cronyism. And cronyism is infectious and deadly. And we're going to talk about that later. Cronyism is infectious. I mean, if you sit around 4 other cronies, listen, I don't care who you are. If you sit with 4 other cronies every day and you're voting on other people's money, you should come with one of those masks over your face, you know? You should be like this because you don't want to get that. You don't want to get infected with cronyism because it's deadly. It's deadly to the country, and eventually it's deadly to you. These so-and-sos think that if it's bad for America or if it's bad for Bay County, it can somehow be good for them. No. If it's bad for America, it can't possibly be good for you. If it's bad for Bay County, it cannot possibly be good for you. Do you agree with that? These are important statements that I'm making, I think. I still think that we need to get, we really need to get a Periscope. And I said this before, we ought to have, we got the hearts. If you like what I'm saying, you tap the screen and there's hearts. But I said we should have arrows if you don't like what we're saying. So I know, I just got shot with an arrow, except for the Daily Cruz, right? The Daily Cruz, whose real name is Elisha Cruz, who goes by EC, who is one of the great champions of freedom in America and is with us right now, and he's got me pumped up that he is. He gives truth arrows. So if you say something that's true and he really likes it on Twitter, he'll give you get awarded with a truth arrow, just like that. And I got one yesterday. I said something yesterday. Actually, it was something he said, because last time I listened to him and Wayne Dupree on a show. Cruz kept talking about, EC kept talking about 93 million Americans out of work, and that's the way to say that, because that demonstrates that it's more than 1 out of 3 Americans who could be working don't have a job, right? And how big a deal is that? When there are more people getting in the wagon and fewer people pulling the wagon, entitlements, right? We're going to, I'm telling you, it starts to become uphill. And then the people pulling the wagon are so few, and so many people jump in the wagon that the wagon, I'm telling you, have you ever seen somebody try to go up a hill on one of those four-wheel, the four-wheel vehicles, and they're trying to get up there, and then it starts to, oh, snap. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. That's where America is right now. Do you agree? That's where America is right now. We've got more than $100 million. One of you, Jeff says, my arms are tired from pulling the wagon. EC says 93 million out of work. And that's exactly right. And listen, EC, I've been talking about that for a long time. Why does the U.S. Chamber of Commerce want to give, here's what I say, have newly legal illegal aliens. Obama calls them dreamers, right? They're no more dreamers than you and I are purple people eaters, okay? You cannot just create a new class of people. These are dreamers. Let it be written. Let it be done. No, they're not. They're illegal aliens. I don't care what you call them. They're illegal aliens, okay? And I'll tell you something about it too. They're dream stealing immigrants is what they are. It is not compassionate to we earn to them so that we have to work more and harder. It is not compassionate. It is cruel. And listen, I'm not a biblical scholar, but I'm very aware of one of my favorite biblical scriptures, and it comes from Isaiah. And it says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. Woe to those who do that. And that is what's happening in America today. They are calling what is good bad and what is bad good. They are flipping virtue upside down. And it's up to you and me, and this is another conversation Wayne Dupree said with EC and others, and Dan Adams, is you gotta tell the truth, and you know that is what this show is about, and it comes at a tremendous price. You saw what they did to us in August of last year for telling the truth. And by the way, I need to show you something. This is a big deal. I got fired after 8.5 years from Talk Radio 101. Who remembers that? And by the way, I know that we had a big show for 8.5 years on Talk Radio 101, WYOO, and we were the opinion leader. And we listen, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I'm just telling you, in Bay County, we were on FM radio, head-to-head, same time frame against Rush Limbaugh, who is the greatest talk show host ever if you want to talk about who's been the most successful and the groundbreaker, okay? And we went head-to-head against Limbaugh, and we doubled his ratings, not just in specific little sliver, in everything. In everything, we would double his ratings. And the reason why we did that is not because I'm better than Limbaugh, okay? It is because if you're driving your car in Bay County and you're listening to FM radio and you listen to the great Rush Limbaugh, you are a spectator far away watching the great Limbaugh. But if you were listening to our station, we were linking arms, and you and I together made a difference. That's why we did as well as we did. But what happened was we became a problem. And we became a problem. I stopped listening to Rush when I heard you. Oh, Jeff, man, thank you so much. But isn't that true? It's because you mattered. All I can do, all any talk show host can do,
is comment on the political scene. Now, where the leverage comes from is when you and I link arms and we make the ground rumble. Like when our former friend, and he dumped us, I didn't dump him, you know that, and he lives here and we used to be together, but he's now mad at me and won't even shake my hand, and that's our former congressman, Steve Sutherland. Now, let me tell you why I was so strong on the things that I said. First of all, he wanted to put illegal aliens in the U.S. military. I said that every day. I said, stop doing that. But here's what else he did. One of his last votes. Oh, my God, this is bad. And he's got blood on his hands. And he voted, it was one vote, basically, that voted to fund Planned Parenthood and voted to, gosh, there was another one, I forgot what to fund Obamacare in its entirety and to fund and arm Islamic jihadists. Just the good ones, though. Just the ones who were fighting against Assad. So we're going to give our finest weapons weapons. We're going to give weapons and arms to the good Islamic jihadists so they can knock down Syria. That was the goal, and he voted for that. And I said, wait a second. Those guys are going to use these weapons against our own soldiers, and they're going to use these weapons against innocent people and murder them. Okay? Now listen to this story. Look at this story from today. Surprise. ISIS is now using U.S.-made missiles originally supplied to Syrian rebels. ISIS has acquired a very large arsenal of weapons in its campaign in Syria and Iraq. Damn it. Look what I wrote up here. This is another reason we should have voted out every congressman who voted to fund Islamic jihadists. They have blood on their hands, including Steve Sutherland, and I tagged him. And he's mad at me today too, I'm sure. I don't give a damn if he's mad at me. He has blood on his hands for what he did. It was a horrific thing to do. And I don't give a flip if John Boehner said, if you want to keep that leadership position, all you got to do is vote on this. This is when you tell John Boehner, no, we're not going to give, first of all, we're more than $18 trillion in debt, and that's just now. That's not even including the promises made in the future. That's galloping toward $200 trillion. Trillion with a T. With a T. Do you know how much $1 trillion is? If Jesus spent $1 million a day every day, if he spent, and Jesus could do that. I mean, you know, he's JC, right? He could do it. And he said, man, I'm gonna put spinners on my car, you know, hey, leave your judgment at home. He could do that if he wanted to, right? And he could spend $1 million a day, every single day from his time until now. Do you know how much longer he would have to spend $1 million every day if Jesus spent $1 million every day till now? Every day. You still wouldn't have spent $1 trillion. He would have to spend $1 million a day for another 685 years to spend $1 trillion. These so-and-sos in D.C. are spending $3.8 trillion this year, and they're bringing in $2.5 trillion. So they're $1.3 trillion in deficit. Their budget shortfall is $1.3 trillion, but they want to talk about we've cut the deficit in half to 400 and some billion. Listen, I did spend a lot of time when I was older in the halls of academia and racked up some degrees, okay? Now, I graduated high school with 4 Fs and 2 Ds, all right? I'm not what you would consider a fast burner. I did 4 Fs and 2 Ds, but you could do that in 1985. Where I went to high school, Corona High School in Southern California, because my counselor said, wow, you've got enough credits to graduate. Both of my parents were alcoholics. Basketball season was over, so I didn't have to worry about keeping a C average. So I graduated. They said, all you got to do is pass your 2 required courses, and a D was passing, economics and history. And so I got 2 D's and 4 F's and graduated high school. Not particularly impressive, okay? So not a fast burner, this cat. But let me show you what I can do. Now, this is going to be amazing. You ready? Watch this. They're going to spend $3.8 trillion. I'm going to hold it up to YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, and I'm so thrilled you are at the My Freedom Radio channel. One word, My Freedom Radio. I'm also going to show you on Periscope. 3.8 trillion, right? Watch this. This is going to be good stuff here. Minus 2.6 trillion. Okay, look at this. 3.8 minus 2.6. Are you following me so far? Now watch what happens. Now this is not Common Core math, because then I'd have to like extend the show. Right? And I mean, I would have to figure out how to put this in a sentence instead of an equation. So we're not going to do Common Core math, but which just means this is probably going to be accurate. All right. Now I don't have a degree in math. I suck at math. Okay, I really do, but I can do this one. Now here's the cool thing about math. The answer is going to fit into a box. All right, you see that? Now in this box is the answer, 1.2 trillion. Look at that. Boom. Now that is Burnie Thompson math. 3.8 trillion minus 2.6 trillion that they're going to bring in is a deficit of 1.2 trillion. Damn it. And we got people arguing about this. Now the reason the answer fits in a box is what I do like about math is it has a number, right? Not a story. Not excuses, a number. That is called business. That is called math. Now, if this were something I'm more familiar with, say an English analysis or a literature analysis, now that's what I love, because then you don't have one answer. Then you do get to tell a story. And I love stories. That's why my degrees are in political science, journalism, and English, not degrees that I can go out and become an engineer and make more money, but they're things I love, and I like to do things I love. But my point with this is when they tell you that the deficit is 400 and some billion, which is about half a trillion, that is Bolshevik. It's utter and complete Bolshevik. They're lying to you, and it's easy to say. And you know what I had somebody do? I had a guy, one of my best friends and a big supporter of the show. He said, Burnie, man, this PhD keeps telling me that, and he's showing me a USA Today article. And the USA Today and the professor, they're saying that the deficit is in the $470 billion range, $500 billion. I said, no, it's not. And he said, Burnie, I believe you, man. But what do I say when I go back? I said, just do this. just do that. And then say, what goes in there? And they start talking about, well, what about you? No, I don't want a story. I want to know what goes in there. That's right. EC, take it, baby. Now you got capricious, which nobody's going to know what the hell that means. But Bolshevik sounds good, doesn't it? Because it sounds like, first time I heard it, I said, oh, boy. That sounds like it's going to be something else. And I'll show you something else just for fun here, EC. I'm talking to Elisha Cruz, who's with us, and it's very exciting. It's just the Daily Cruise, but he goes by the Real Black Courage, and he's out of Dallas, Texas, and he's a champion of liberty, and he works with others to link arms and to advance freedom. But I'm gonna show you something that's really fun, EC. This is from my TV show, and you'll get a kick out of this. This is how it starts. The Bolshevik. Watch this. You're going to like this. There it is. No Bolshevik.
So by now you've heard about this.
No, we don't. That's one thing we don't like. Is the no spin zone? Here is the no Bolshevik zone. We're not going to tolerate it. But that's simple stuff, and this is what I'm talking about. Don't be intimidated by somebody with PhDs or somebody that is with a newspaper, because listen, if This is irrefutable. This is what I would do. I would give them the pen on the other side and the paper, and I'll say, you come up with a different answer. But we agreed that they're going to spend $3.8 trillion. We agreed that they took in $2.6 trillion. You put the answer in there. I want to watch you do it. And unless you're Jeb Bush, the answer has to, because Jeb Bush is Common Core. Jeb Bush, I don't even know how to do Common Core math. All I know is it's ruining people's lives. All I know is this. If you are a mom, say you're a single mom, and you've got a second grader, and he's got a few math problems. Here's how it used to work in America. You got dinner on the oven. You got 5 or 10 minutes with your son at the table, and you knock out stuff like this. But today in America, you've got parents who now are so frustrated because they don't know what in the hell Common Core math is. And that's the point of it, to just one more thing to torment us in America. They torment us. We can't go see our doctors anymore. They call one of the craziest things in America. I'm sorry, in Omerica, and I think it's important to make that distinction. One of the craziest things in Omerica is that they call up down and down up. Have you seen the Keynes versus Hayek round 2? Oh yeah, with Go Remy. I love Go Remy. If y'all haven't seen it yet, go on YouTube, and it looks like this. As a matter of fact, I'll show you one, EC, right now. Watch. This is worth doing, and you'll be able to hear it if you're on YouTube. I'm gonna show you one you're gonna love right now. I'm gonna do it. Don't you love Periscope, by the way? If you haven't yet, you know how they say friends don't let friends drive drunk? Friends should not let friends not have Periscope. If you've got friends who don't have Periscope, you're wrong. That's what we used to say in the military, by the way. When I was an Air Force officer, we used to say that. And I went to boot camp. My best friend, and I think he is just about my very best friend. It's hard to say, but there's a handful, you know. Ola, you've heard me speak of Ola Ekundayu. Ola Ekundayu. We went to boot camp together. He's now, by the way, a lieutenant colonel. He's a lieutenant colonel now. Colonel Ekundayu, half New Jersey, half Nigerian. You should hear him talk. But he tells me that sometimes. You're wrong. And he's right. If this and that, then you're wrong. It's kind of like Periscope. If you've got friends who don't have Periscope, you're wrong to not let them have Periscope. Because they can have so much fun on this too. Imagine the way they can connect with their families. And like I said, one of the things I love most about Periscope is how intimate it is. It is an intimate medium. It's kind of like, as I said, it's kind of like me and Mrs. Jones, you know. If I were to market Periscope, I would say we've got a thing going on. That's it. That's the tagline. We've got a thing going on Periscope. Just like me and Mrs. Jones, only it's not wrong. That's the only difference, is we've got a thing going on, but this time it's not wrong. It's right. So this is, and you can have a lot of Mrs. Joneses on Periscope. I got more than 100 Mrs. Joneses on Periscope because it's intimate, and we've got a thing going on, and we can use it for good. We can use it for truth. And now, how exciting is that? That's even more exciting than having more than 100 Mrs. Joneses. And I got to admit, that sounds pretty exciting. But this is even more exciting. Am I right or wrong? Can I get an amen on that? All right, listen. Here's what I was going to show you, though. You're going to love this. Go, Remy. What is it? Raise the debt. There it is. I'm going to show you one of the best ones. This is back when the national debt was only $14 trillion. That's what our entire annual economy, they call it a gross domestic product. The amount of goods and services we produce in America is $14 trillion a year. When Obama took office, we were $10.5 trillion in debt. Now we're way above $18 trillion in debt, right? So under Obama's term, and this is historic, he loves being historic, we have surpassed that. And that's part of the plan, by the way, to collapse our economy under the weight of entitlement spending. And that's a very big part of what this gay marriage stuff was all about. Okay, let me show you something, though. I want to show you this. Yes, I saw the Keynes versus Hayek. Watch this one.
Raise the debt ceiling, 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 raise the debt ceiling. 14 trillion in debt, but yo, we ain't got no qualms. Dropping $100 bills and $billion bonds. Spending money we don't have, that's the name of the game. They call me cumulonimbus because you know I'll make it rain. Drive all kinds of cars, got all kinds of whips. People ask me how I get them, I tell them security surplus, oh, guess what, it's gone. Got my hands on everything like Dominique Strauss-Kahn. Ain't got no Medicare trust fund, son, that's just absurd. Spending every single penny that we see, son, have you heard? Ain't got no moral objection, ain't got no kind of quantitative statutory budget restraints. Raise the debt ceiling, 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 raise the debt ceiling. All up in the bed and we living in style, spending lots of money while we sipping Cristal, making it rain and yet it be so pleasing. Did I say make it rain? I mean quantitative easing. QE1, QE2, QE4, QE3, dropping IOUs in every fund that I see, printing the cash, inflating the monies. Call it up China, hey yo, we straight out of 20s. All up in the club, we be loud and out. While in the market, yeah, we be crowding out. On the beach, getting tan and sipping Corona. I got a monetary plan and it involves a lot of toner. Raise the debt ceiling, 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 raise the debt ceiling.
So if you look at the chart and you examine the trend, we borrow 40 cents of every single dollar we spend, and non-discretionary spending increases every day. Do you have a comment for committee? I make it rain. Mr. Speaker, could you beam me up? A congressperson cutting spending couldn't dream me up. But we're all gonna default if we follow the road. You know, I could have thought of this $14 trillion ago. Cause I'm the king of the links. I'm a menace in tennis. I'm sticking spinners on my rims, picking winners in business. So if you looking for some cash, cause things are getting heavy, I got some big old piles of money. Guess what? They shovel ready. Raise the debt ceiling, 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 raise the debt ceiling. Our debt is more unsustainable in my rap career. Yeah.
Now that is Go Remy, and if you're not familiar with Go Remy, I wish you would be. He does some of the best work. He understands economics, and he does so in a way that is hilarious. I don't know if you've seen that yet, EC, but isn't that amazing? Yeah, isn't that? He's got a bunch of great ones, and I think that's what we need to do. When we advance and promote liberty is, you know, first of all, here's the truth. If we're promoting liberty, we're right and they're wrong. And secondly, liberty is subversive and it appeals to young people. And quite frankly, liberty's cool. We are cool and they are not. We are right and they are wrong. Obama's not cool. Obama's not about, well, I don't even want to get into that. I really don't, because we already know that. It's like kicking a dead horse, as they say. But there are a few things I want to get back to. And the question that I raised, and we really didn't talk about it, but I want to know what you think. Liberty is cool. Liberty is subversive. Liberty is cool. You know what's not cool is being a nincompoop bobblehead. That's not cool. Nincompoop bobbleheads suck. And that's what Obama files are. They are nincompoop bobbleheads. No matter what Obama says, what do? I mean, you could have Obama give Ronald Reagan's speech in 1964, A Time for Choosing, and Obama could say those words and his audience would cheer. He'd have behind him people who look different, but all think but they're all nincompoop bobbleheads. And by the way, that's not diversity. Diversity is not having a bunch of people who look different and are nincompoop bobbleheads. Okay. Diversity, to me, and this is, by the way, another big important thing. When we talk about a common culture, there are such things as American ideals. Let's list them. What would you say American ideals are? And this goes back to my question, do you love America?
And people who say, I don't love America because, and you start listing the governments, when they start saying, oh, I don't love America because of George Bush, or I don't love America because of Barack Obama, or I don't love America because, this is illegal or that's illegal. What you're really saying is you don't love the American government. You don't love the politicians, and neither do I. I love America. I hate the corruption in government. I hate the infectious cronyism in government. Hate it. And you can still love America and be pissed off at your government. As a matter of fact, I would argue that you almost have to be a good American. You at the very least you don't have to do anything. But I would say at the very least, you're embarrassed of your government, even in the best of times. Right now, I'm ashamed of the government. I'm ashamed of my local government because if I could, and I say this all the time, in one sentence, this is what's wrong. Trust but verify your government, says EC. Echoing, of course, Ronald Reagan with the Soviet Union. Trust but verify. That's a good motto for life. You know what else is a good motto for life? Don't ask, don't tell. That should have been it. First of all, that should have stayed in the military. Second of all, that's my philosophy for everything. Don't ask, don't tell. But do you love America is the question. People who say I don't love America because of what Barack Obama did, or what Halliburton or Ronald Reagan and this law, or because we can't get married in America if we're gay, or whatever it is. What you are really saying is you're mad at the politicians. You're mad at the government. You're not saying you're mad at America. See, what they did was they took America the beautiful. This land is your land. This land is my land, and not Thailand. Stop. No, this land is your land. This land is my land, not Thailand. I know people who go to Thailand, though, for 3 weeks at a time, and I don't think they're just buying clothes. But that's, don't ask, don't tell. Back to that, right? This land is your land. This land is my land is more than just a song to me. Those are our roads. That's our water. Or our red snapper. They don't belong to Governor Scott. That's right. You know where that came from, EC? I'm mad as hell, and I'm not taking it anymore. It came from a movie called Network, and it's on one of my sound clips that I use. I love that. And Network was a very prescient movie. Prescient. And not only that, it foresaw the future. In the sense that in 1976, Network. It was the movie. It won the Oscar, I believe. That won the movie of the year, and it foresaw that what was going to happen in news. If it bleeds, it leads. That news was going to become entertainment instead of news. But there's something even worse that happened to news, and I've pointed this out recently. When did media malpractice become the norm? When did journalistic malpractice become the norm? It became the norm when news outlets stopped getting the majority of their revenue from subscribers and started getting the majority of their revenue from advertisers. You can see that right here with Wes Pittman. Wes Pittman is the slip and fall injury attorney who said there's not enough water in the Gulf to wash away the stench of you and me because we're such sinners. First of all, for people who claim to be godly, their syndicate of sanctimoniousness, those holier than holy molies, I've never heard people who claim to be godly be so insulting and condescending. If you're an insulting and condescending jackass, you are not a man of God. Listen, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to verify that tonight, because here's the invitation I was telling you about. And I haven't told everybody where my favorite saloon is because it doesn't have a name. Man, I really jacked up my knuckle, baby, last night. I keep having issues with my knuckle, and some of you know what I'm talking about. But this one, look, damn it, it's right next to the other knuckle I got a problem with. And I'm not getting in fights or anything like that, but I jacked this one up. I gotta fix this thing up before it becomes a problem. Truth, I love getting truth arrows from EC, I'll tell you right now. But what was I? The favorites, the invitation for tonight. No, it's at J.C. Hall. Pastor J.C. Hall's in town, and so is Chris Ann Hall. J.C. and Chris Ann are in town, and guess where we're going to be at 6 o'clock tonight? At my favorite saloon. And I hope that you'll come join us. If you ever had a question about the Constitution, Chris Ann Hall is going to be there. We're going to be on the back deck if weather permits. If not, we're going to be inside where I'd prefer to be anyway. But you want to ask about liberty and as it relates to theology, JC's there. You want to find out about, this is a great opportunity. And you know why I hang out at my favorite saloon as often as possible? Because Pastor J.C. Hall told me that he believes, it's his belief, that this is where Jesus would be basically looking for people who needed him, right? So I want to be where that's going to happen. That's the reason I show up there a lot, right? That is the reason that I show up a lot, is because when he comes back, I want to be where he's going to be. And so I figure he'll probably walk in to a saloon looking for people who need Jesus. And you know what? I'm going to beat you to the punch. So you holier than holy molies, you syndicate of sanctimoniousness, you go be where you want to be. I know where I'm going to be. And tonight at 6 o'clock, I hope you'll come join us. It's going to be a blast. And you know what? Miss Sarah Moon might be. Miss Sarah Moon, are you going to be there? I hope Miss Sarah Moon's going to be there if you haven't gotten a chance to meet her yet. But it's going to be a great night. It's going to be a great night at my favorite saloon. Now, I'll tell you something somebody told me there one time. What do you mean debating? Oh, you're not feeling well. Darn it. Her neck is out of whack. Her neck's all out of whack. Listen, I know you just got a massage, and people want to meet you. And I think that, and it's not far from your house. It's right down the. Okay, good. Then maybe it's right down the road. So I think that you should be there, don't you? Who wants? If you want Sarah Moon there, tap that screen, because she needs to. By the way, she has an announcement maybe soon enough. I have knuckle issues, but I'm still going. It's not going to stop me from going. Now, I had somebody tell me this. Do you know what the? And this is something that I hope the Syndicate of Sanctimoniousness is watching. Wes Pittman's Holier Than Holy Molies. I hope they're watching, because these are the two questions I've heard that are going to be asked when you get to heaven. Are you ready for the two questions? Now, this is where the show gets theological. The two questions. See, that's where I hit the pedal and nobody else heard it. Watch this. I want to show you something. And for those of you on YouTube, you'll be able to see this, but you won't hear it because I can mute the microphone. And those of you listening on My Freedom Radio, or used to be on FM radio, but we can't get into that right now. Here's what I've got: like a piano foot pedal, and when I hit it, it mutes the microphone, and I can cough, and nobody. But you on Periscope, though, you do hear it. So watch. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to step on this pedal, and watch what I can do, and nobody will hear it. Watch. Now, nobody saw that except on Periscope. So you may have seen it, but you didn't hear it. Now, they heard it. And so I can do anything with this. This is very important in radio, is to have one of these cough pedals, so that, see that? So you can see everything that's going on. And on Periscope, you can hear everything and communicate with me. And if you haven't downloaded Periscope yet on your phone, I don't know. Friends don't let friends drive drunk. Friends don't let friends not have Periscope. So I don't know what to tell you. But back to the biggest problem in America. This is another one of our position statements on the show. The rule of law has been supplanted by the law of rulers. The rule of law has been supplanted by the law of rulers. And the way it ought to look in America, the way it ought to look everywhere, but we had it right in America for a while, is God is at the top, if you think of this as a hierarchy, and then the people, and then the government, right? We're here to serve God, and the government is here to serve us. God created us. We created government. What they've done is they flipped they flipped it on its end. So now it is government, dreamers, and I sound like, I always reminds me of Kermit the Frog, right? Lovers, dreamers, and me kind of thing. Always reminds me of that when I say that. And who could sing the Kermit the Frog song? I've got people who can sing, and maybe I should have Juan sing it. And Juan, where are you, by the way? But that's what government has done, isn't it? The rule of law has been supplanted by the law of rulers, but there's also something else. And this disease that I'm going to name is the bubonic plague of economics, and it's called cronyism. And it affects Republicans and Democrats alike. It's called cronyism. And the textbook definition of cronyism, let me get my official book here. The textbook definition of cronyism, right here. It is when big government and big business climb in bed together and spawn bastard lobbyists at our expense. Straight out of a textbook. It's when they spawn bastard lobbyists at our expense. That's cronyism. And that is, can you get a hallelujah for what, Brandy? Hey, Brandy, by the way, I hope you'll come visit us at our favorite saloon. I saw that you just joined us. And that's the No Name Lounge. And we're going to be there at 6 o'clock. Chris Ann Hall, Pastor J.C. Hall, and everybody else. And I explained earlier the reason I spend so much time there. And the holier than holy molies and the syndicate of sanctimoniousness ought to appreciate it is because Pastor J.C. Hall says that when Jesus comes, Jesus would probably be in a saloon looking to spread the gospel. That's probably the place that he would be, right? And I want to be where he's likely to show up. That's why I'm there as often as I am. So if you wonder what's Burnie spending so much time there, before you go throwing stones, just understand why I'm there. But this infectious disease of cronyism is the bubonic plague of economics, and it infects. It's very, very contagious, and you really have to understand that if it's bad for America or it's bad for Bay County, it can't possibly be good for you and your family. That is the inoculation against it, is understanding that. I'm going to give you the phone number in case you want to join. And I also need to get Tho Bishop. Tho Bishop's going to join us, and we're going to talk a little bit about Greece and what happened in Greece. It just spread all over West Bay area. Yeah, cronyism did. Do you know what they did? EC, if you're still with us, man, you're not going to believe this, what they did. The St. Joe Company is a big developer here, and they own more land in Florida than anybody else. And I don't have a problem with any of what I'm saying so far, but I do have a problem with what they did. Okay, God bless you. If you were smart enough to buy up as much land, God bless you. If you're going to develop a senior living facility, but I feel like acting like Reverend Jeremiah Wright right now. But damn you if you think you're going to take our money by having government, by paying off and bribing government officials to award it to you. You got to earn it. And America would be better when dollars are earned and not awarded. That's another one of our. I need to make a list of our position statements. America will be better again when dollars are earned and not awarded. And dollars are earned when they are productive in the real economy, and when they are earned because you want to give them to somebody for something else, right? It's through voluntary exchange. America will be better when dollars are earned in the real economy, when dollars are productive, instead of dollars being political and awarded. That's the problem I have with the big developer ready to turn off the spigot, as Wes Pittman said. I'll tell you what, if anybody needs to take a shower, it's not the people who work their asses off every day. It's the slip and fall attorney, Wes Pittman, who stood there told the great forbidders, known as the Panama City Beach City Council, there's not enough water in the Gulf to wash the stench off of the beach. There's not enough water in the Gulf to wash the stench off of you, Wes Pittman. And I can say that. I'm the only media outlet that can say that because I don't give a damn about your advertising dollars. I care about the truth. I am a sentinel of the truth. And you know what? I get beat up for it. It hurts. They hurt me. They hurt my family. They hurt me a lot. And most people won't give up their jobs for the truth. But this cat will. Because, listen, ultimately, when you take that last breath, are you going to say, I wish I kept my job? Or are you going to say, I wish I kept my integrity? What are you going to say? Are you going to say, I wish I spent more time at my job? Or I wish I spent more time with my kids? Now, that's a hard one because what I'm trying to do now takes a lot of time away from my kids. They hurt me. And standing for the truth hurts. But so what? Life hurts, right? So why not get hurt and keep your integrity intact? And so I can say these things to Wes Pittman, but WJHG can't. WMBB can't. Talk Radio 101 can't. Chris Ann Hall would. She got fired. She was willing to get fired. This is why you have my support. Jeff, thank you. And man, I'll tell you what I was thinking about you today, Jeff. These memes that you create, and you are a modern day absolutely brilliant political cartoonist with these memes. You are something special. And I am so glad that you chose me to be sort of partners with, teammates with. It's awesome, and it makes a huge difference. And it makes such a difference. They're afraid of, they don't want to get memed by you. You know, the don't tase me, bro. They're like, don't meme me, bro. They don't want to get memed by you. I'm going to tell you right now, Jeff Kicks Ass is right. Don't meme me, bro. We ought to make T-shirts for him. Because guess what? Guy Tennell just got memed. Guy Tennell just got memed because he's trying his damnedest, and I wonder who's paying them off for this. I named the consultant. There's some consultant that came up with the idea. They basically are trying to charge people on well water for because they're not hooked up to the water system. And that's the whole thing. Right? That's another new thing they've discovered, these politicians, is that they can charge you a fee or a tax on things that you don't buy. Yet another hallmark of America. And now Republicans do it. Why? Because of the infectious disease known as cronyism. That's why. The bubonic plague of economics is cronyism. And you've got to basically, like... by the way, would you like to see a new county commissioner with a really pretty face? Because I happen to know somebody who's thinking about running. I mean, I know somebody who's thinking about it, and it would be a blast to see Miss Sarah Moon sitting next to 4 old-ass white politicians. AWPs, right? And then you got these old senile white politicians and Sarah Moon, who does not play. She might get outvoted 4-1. I know. All I'm saying is you're thinking about it because Mike Thomas is leaving, and there's some goofs who are thinking about running, and you don't want them. And Brian Rust is one of them. I'm just saying it the way it is. Brian Rust is so unqualified. I know him very well. He's not only unqualified, he's he stabbed me in the back. Okay, we started off the radio show together in 2007. He was the lead host, the Joe Valentine. That's Joe Valentine, the Joe and Burnie show. And we did that for 3 months, and then he quit, and then it became my show. But when they did that to us in August, he jumped on board, and they had him stabbing me in the back all over on Facebook. Burnie has lost his mind. Burnie this and that. He's wrong about the FCC. I mean, I'm just telling you that Brian Rust is you can do what you want, but he's not the one. But I would love to see Miss Sarah Moon run. And I know she's talking about it, or she's thinking about it. And nothing would be better than to see a new picture of the Bay County commissioners with 4 OAWPs, old ass white politicians, and Miss Sarah Moon, right? And I'm telling you what, when they tried the Bolshevik about we need a 50-year plan, they just made the first of many votes to approve a 50-year plan in West Bay. This is what the spring break, you think this is about spring break? It's not about spring break. It's about all of the power and money that comes along with the senior living facility that the St. Joe Company and the county commissioners are pushing. That's what it's about. Spring break is a pretext, I'm telling you. And it's even more insidious than that if we lift our gaze. And you know I don't have the rainbow picture because it's GAZE is why. If you lift your gaze, they are voting 5-0, 5-0 county commission, city council for lawsuits. Why would they vote for lawsuits? Because I'll bet you anything that the two kingmakers, William Harrison and Beau Rivard, the law partners, I'll bet you anything that they end up being the ones that represent us when the lawsuits hit, the civil rights lawsuits that are bound to hit, because the laws that they are passing violate our God-given rights. These so-and-sos are going to get sued, they're going to lose, and they know it, but they don't give a flip. Why don't they give a flip? Because I think, and here's where I'm guessing, this is conjecture, but I'll bet you that the two kingmakers behind the scenes, William Harrison and Beau Rivard, those guys are poised to be the council. And they're going to say, you'll never have to worry about fundraising again. You just be a team player. That's what people don't see. And you know what? We need people who will say, if it's bad for Bay County, it can't possibly be good for us. So we're not going to be infected. We're not going to. This would be metaphorically. This like Miss Sarah Moon. She won't get infected by cronyism because we understand that principle and we're willing to stand for that principle. And you know what? Let me tell you something else, and then I'm gonna get off this subject. If she decides to run, she'll win. She'll beat the crap out of anybody who runs. You know why? Because she is it. She belongs there. If that's what she decides to do. So I let that cat out of the bag, but hey, it's just us, right? It's just us. So if you're thinking about running and if you're thinking about funding somebody to run for that one county commission seat that represents the beach, you may want to hold on to your money before you figure out who you want to donate to. That's all I'm saying. All right. I was going to give you the phone number, but you know what I think I'm going to do instead? I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to get Tho Bishop on because I was talking to Sean Hannity's Hair, the Twitter sensation. If you're not following at S. Hannity's Hair, you're missing out. And he wanted to talk about Cuba. And the reason that he wanted to talk about Cuba is there's a lot going on. Oh, my God. Okay, so I told you. Oh, my God. I told you about the. Oh, my God, this is so bad. This is why I did what I did. Steve Sutherland voted to arm Islamic jihadists. They said it was only going to go to the ones fighting against Assad. They said it was only going to go to the good Islamic jihadists who were fighting Syria. Okay? Yeah, you didn't know that? One of Steve Sutherland's last votes, these damn Republicans in the House of Reprehensibles, one of the last votes was three things. They did three things in one damn omnibus bill. They voted to fund Obamacare in its entirety. They voted to fund Planned Parenthood, and they voted to arm Islamic jihadists. Only the good ones, though. Only the ones that were fighting against Assad in Syria. And I said, do you understand what you're doing? You are arming people who are going to murder innocents. Damn it. They're not just fighting Assad, and besides that, we shouldn't be arming them at all. They want to give arms to these guys, but they want to take our guns away. You have blood on your hands, Steve Sutherland. You have blood on your hands for what you did. Not to me, but to what I'm going to show you. You armed and funded these most evil people, some of the most evil people in the history of the world, because John Boehner told you so that you could have a position of power in a leadership position. This is what makes me so angry. Look at this headline. 74 kids murdered. It should say murdered by ISIS for Ramadan crimes. I'll show you more. This is, if you're not following me on the Burnie Thompson page, why not? Here's what I put here today. Look at this. Surprise. ISIS is now using U.S.-made missiles originally supplied to Syrian rebels. And I wrote, this is another reason we should have voted out every congressman who voted to fund Islamic jihadists. They all have blood on their hands, including Steve Sutherland. And I tagged him, and I don't care how mad he is at me. It was a horrific thing to do. It was a horrific thing to do. These things have real life consequences, damn it. And they're not just about retaining your seat or having a leadership position in the House of Reprehensibles. It has to do with that. They now have U.S.-made missiles that they're using on our troops that you wanted to put illegal. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go back on that. But this needs to be said. These are the consequences of voting to arm Islamic jihadists. But John Boehner told me to do it. Are you crazy? This is insanity. And it's evil. Yeah, but Bernie, he goes to church. He better. And you drink too much. Okay, I need to. But you know what I'm not doing? Oh, I don't know. Arming Islamic jihadists. That's what I'm not doing. I'm not funding, Planned Parenthood. I'm not voting to fund the entirety of Obamacare. All right, I need to take a break, actually. And this is just water. It really is just water. Quick break. I'm going to try to get Tho Bishop on because I want to talk about Cuba. I want to talk about Greece. I want to talk about the economics of Greece, how it affects America, how it affects the rest of the world, how close America is galloping toward Greece's situation. Basically where the politicians consumed all the value, all the money, which is what they're doing here. Anytime you hear a politician say healthcare consumes 1/7 of the American economy, no, damn it, they contribute to 1/7 of the American economy. You consume the economy. Only the government consumes the economy. All right, let me see if I can't get Tho Bishop with us on this break. I'll be back on Periscope. I'll be back on YouTube. I'll be back on My Freedom Radio in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the Burnie Thompson Show. Stay tuned. More of you and Burnie straight ahead.
The Burnie Thompson Show is brought to you by Waterstone Apartments. Each home includes a full-size washer.
Today is going to be such a great day. It really is, from beginning to end. Being here with you in about 7 minutes, I'm going to get Tho Bishop on the line with us and talk a little bit about Greece and the economic problems that are going on in Greece. And if you know Tho Bishop, or if you don't know Tho Bishop, he is such a brilliant guy. I mean, he is an amazing thinker. And today I get the good fortune of talking to actually 3 people. In fact, the 3 people I know who, when I talk about issues, if I were sitting at my favorite saloon, and I will be tonight, and I hope that you'll join us, with Tho Bishop, or with Bobby Lago, or with Pastor J.C. Hall, when I am talking about an issue with any one of these guys, it fires off ideas in my head where I come up with these new formulations. And Tho Bishop is one of these guys. And he's an economist who understands, as well as anybody I know, economics. And that's basically just to say the study of how scarce resources are allocated. And he does it in a way that is it's just brilliant. And so Tho's going to be with us in a little bit. And later on, I get to spend time with Pastor J.C. Hall and Chris Ann Hall and Bobby Lago and Miss Sarah Moon at my favorite saloon. And I rhymed that. If I keep rhyming stuff, boy. See, that's one of those times that you on Periscope could hear me clearing my throat, which is a great thrill, isn't it? And but everybody else, I got a special button. I'm telling you, I got buttons and pedals that do all kinds of things you wouldn't believe. But so that's tonight, and you're invited. And I sure hope you make it out there, 6 o'clock. And if you're wondering where my favorite saloon is, it is the No Name Lounge, and that's where we'll be at 6 o'clock. Hopefully you'll be there with us. But I do want to point out a couple of things. Do you know who this guy is? I'm going to show you on the Periscope app. I'm again going to pick you up and twirl you around, and show you the screen here. Look at this. This is Che Guevara. This man rounded up poets and artists, blacks and homosexuals, and he shot them for sport. He was a cruel mother son of a gun. And but you'll see him on T-shirts in colleges because, you know, he's a handsome devil, and that's what he was, a devil. And of course, you know, he was involved in the Cuban Revolution with Castro. But here, so let's keep selling his image on everything we can and ban the Confederate flag, #hypocrisy. Now, I wrote on Facebook, Democrats love to excuse foreign monsters who torture and murder gays and women, ignoring or excusing evil. They're too busy hating Republicans more than they love America. And that's the truth, isn't it? Che Guevara. And it's kind of been the history of the world, really. If you look at people who are oppressed, they are often people who support their oppressors without even knowing it because of ignorance, because of unawareness, really. And I don't mean ignorance in a bad way. I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm just saying that they don't understand. And you've heard the saying, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance, as Jim Rohn said, one of my favorite thinkers, will drag you into the shadows of despair. What does it say? You know, again, for not being maybe I'm channeling J.C. Hall, Pastor J.C. Hall, but what does it say in, I don't remember which book of the Bible, about complacency? It says a little sleep, a little slumber, and despair. I think it's despair will drag you into the shadows. Like a vagabond, like an armed man, if you're not paying attention. And the same goes with liberty. See, liberty, it's my opinion,
based on, I don't know, history, based on what happened. Liberty doesn't just happen. Liberty has to be handed down. Liberty has to be passed down from generation to generation. And it doesn't just happen. I'm not big. Listen, I understand the freedom is not free thing. I get that. But I like to say liberty doesn't just happen. That's another one of I need to write these down. Liberty doesn't just happen. It's not the natural state of things. And the natural state of things is something much different. And Thomas Hobbes touched on it. Thomas Hobbes said life is nasty, brutish, and short. And it always has been. There's a great book about this called The 5,000-Year Leap. What happened in the last 5,000 years and the leap toward liberty and freedom. But one thing about it, and things like the printing press, as I like to say, Periscope's kind of like the new printing press. Talk radio was kind of like the new printing press. You know, word of mouth is, you know, what they say in advertising, there's no better advertising than word of mouth. This is like word of mouth times, well, it was with talk radio, word of mouth times 10,000s of people. If you're Rush Limbaugh, it's word of mouth times 15 million people. And the good news for you and me is we're only about 30 million people away from saving this country. That's all, right? Right? We're only 30 million people away from saving this country. You and me. I mean, that's just right there. And here's the thing, too, is when people, I used to write a newsletter. Okay, I'll bring them in one day. In 1998, I think it was, I created a newsletter called A Closer Look, and it was when I first started doing these commentaries. And somebody asked me, why did you create a newsletter? And they were subscription newsletters, like every month, or every quarter, actually, like every 2.5 months, 3 months. I would do one, and it was like a 4-pager, and I would write my articles, man, and I would try and sell people on liberty, and it was like $12 a year to subscribe. And I had like 48 subscribers. Boy, I was rolling. But this is how I started. And somebody asked me, they said, Burnie, why did you think you could do that? I mean, why did you think anybody would even listen to what you had to say? Because at the time I didn't have a degree. I didn't have anything. I just had passion. And my answer to that was it never occurred to me that I couldn't do it. That's why I did it. It never occurred to me that I couldn't do it. And I have other stories like that too, but I'll spare you because we're going to go to Tho Bishop here in a minute. But this is exactly what I mean. So we're only 30 million people away from saving this country. So just hang in there, and we'll get there soon. But let me tell you something. And this is important. And I see you, Brandy. Amen to you too. And I reached out to Brandy, and I reached out to several people, actually more than several. And I said, if you don't have the new Periscope app yet, you're missing out. And most people don't believe me. It's kind of like when I say, you might want to read Animal Farm. You might want to read George Orwell's 1984. It's easy to do, but here's the thing. It's easier not to do. It's easy to get Periscope and to be part of this exciting movement. But you know what? It's easier not to. How easy is it to get the Periscope app? I mean, 2 minutes? 30 seconds? If you have to add a Twitter account, even if you don't use it, a minute, 2 minutes? It depends on how valuable it is to you. And Brandy's one of them that said, wait a minute, what is it? Like, I'm trying to do it, but I can't quite. And now Brandy's with us. Now Brandy's linked arms with us. And she's in the hospitality business. And I mean, it's just beautiful to me. So we only got 30 million more to go. But if you would just, like, we don't let friends drive drunk. Friends don't let friends drive drunk. Friends should not let friends go without Periscope. Not when it is possibly the future of podcasting. Not when it gives us leverage and it makes, listen, I promise you this happened. I promise. When I went into that city council meeting last week, it was different than the other times. When I walked in there was tension in the room. They knew I was coming. They knew I was coming, and the councilman didn't come. And people told me who knew that he didn't come because I came. And it's not because I came. It's because we came. It reminds me of the movie Tombstone. You remember when Wyatt Earp said, "We're coming and hell's coming with us"? It kind of felt like that to them. They treated us differently that day when I called for his resignation. And it's because you are linking arms with me, and the ground under the city council is rumbling. I promise you it's changing. And it's going to change more. It's going to change more if you get another friend or two to join us. Burnie Earp. Oh man, sometimes I feel like it. Like I say, it's not easy to walk in there by yourself and walk out by yourself, ask people who know me. I my stomach gets upset. I before I used to play in basketball games, I used to get really tired and stressed out. And the way that I would sort of express that nervousness is I would yawn. My little daughter does that too. If she's in a play, I'll just stand up stage yawning. But you do it anyway. And so what I'm asking you, and we're getting great numbers on Periscope. We are on the cutting edge. It's awesome. And that means that we're doing it together. And do you know when they'll invite me back to the governor's mansion? When they're scared of me again. And do you know when they'll be scared of me again? For telling the truth, when there's enough of us. I told you before, all I can do is comment. But when you link arms, you're the leverage. You're the leverage that they're afraid of, not me. Who gives a flip what one guy says? What they don't understand is it's us. That's what they don't understand. So I'm asking you to please grab your friend's phone and say, listen, we're going to get you on Twitter. We're going to get you on Periscope. You're going to follow at Burnie Thompson. We're going to be part of it. I don't like conservative talk radio. I don't like buttoned up Republicans. I hate Sean Hannity. Right, Brandy? It ain't about that. It's not about any of those things. This is more than that. You know it and I know it. Let's share it. Let's be the warm lamp of reason. Let's stand up to these guys and say, no, you shut up. No, you move over. But you're not doing that to us. You're not doing that. And if you do try it, you're going to pay a tremendous price. They don't believe it yet. Well, they do at the city council. I promise you. 2 of them chased me out of the hallway and said, Burnie, I just want to let you know. Yeah, and I want to let you know. I'm going to tell you who. John Reichert and Wick Russell. That's right. And as nice as Rick Russell is, and he's a nice guy, and he wants to do the right thing, he just doesn't know yet that what the consequences will be. Well, I'll tell you what the consequences will be if you do the wrong thing. We'll call you Wick Russell until you do, and you'll never be the mayor. But if you do the right thing and you stand on the truth, you will be the mayor. But we have to be able to count on you. We have to be able to know that if everybody's against you, that if the pressure is, oh, we're not going to fund your next campaign, you're still going to say, we got to be able to believe in you. Rick Russell, John Reichert, and the rest of you. Because if you don't, we're not just going after the jerks. We're not just going after the jackasses. We're not just going after the bullies. We're going after every single one of you who think you can tell us that we're criminals in the month of March. We're coming after all of you. I swear to you. All right, so please get somebody else on Periscope. Our numbers are really nobody can believe what's happening. Can you believe it? Did you feel, and I know we're just a little late, but we can still reverse this. We can. I've talked to them behind the scenes. We can. And we will reverse it before spring break. Where's Tho? Good question. Let's get him on. I got rambling, Lindsay. Who's coming tonight, by the way? RSVP to my favorite saloon. I hope you'll show up 6 o'clock. Chris Ann Hall, JC Hall. Man, it's going to be a great day. Let me get him on. Tho Bishop. We're going to call him here together. Excuse me. All right. Let's see. I got to do all these things now. Though Bishop, if you'll linger with me here for a moment, we'll get him on the line, and we're going to talk Greece, and we're going to talk Cuba, and economics, and find out how this affects us down the road and even now. All right, let's see here. You'll hear the ringing. Watch. I think you'll hear the ringing.
Hey, bro.
Hey, Tho, you're on live. We got you on right away, and we're
great.
on Periscope. We are also on YouTube Live at My Freedom Radio, one word. And, of course, we're on My Freedom Radio, and everybody's excited to hear what you have to say. Lindsay Mitchell's with us. Miss Sarah Moon's with us. So many others who you know are with us. So welcome to the show.
Great. Glad to be on. I'm excited to see everything you've got going on right now.
I tell you what, with all of these, what I call multiplicity of platforms now to broadcast, everybody can be a citizen journalist, and we don't need Talk Radio 101. And Tho, you've been telling me this for years. You have been telling me, because you like to lift your gaze, and I'm not talking about at Fred Astaire Dance Studio. You look ahead and you say, Bernie, you used to say there are going to be new ways to broadcast. You're ahead of the curve. This is the best thing that could have happened to you. And Tho Bishop, you were right.
Yeah, it's just exciting to see in Periscope in particular. It's been a lot of fun to see, to look around and see what people are able to create. It's an exciting world. Technology is a great thing.
Yeah, Miss Sarah Moon says hello to you, and so does everybody else. Calling Torch, everybody. I'm telling you, everybody's pumped to have you, and you're at a free market think tank now, doing exactly what I think you ought to be doing, and you're having a great time. Let everybody know just the kind of stuff, Tho, that you're up to these days.
Oh, well, it's all about spreading the ideas of liberty and free markets. And the key is that if we don't, Ludwig von Mises wrote a great deal about the importance of that the only way that you can triumph over bad ideas is to overcome them with better ideas, and to be able to convince people and to have them understand the importance of all this. And so being able to put forth all the energies into educating. Educating the next generation of economists that are going to have influence on policy, but then also getting normal people, the layperson, to understand why this matters, and that's what we're doing. And
absolutely, and I'm getting messages on Periscope. Tho knows. Tho knows is never going away. Tho knows the truth. They're saying Tho knows economics, and I like to start off, Tho, when I talk about economics, and with a definition, and if you can tighten it up or fix it or make it better, but for the layperson, just for regular folks, and even for you and me, isn't it really just a study of how scarce resources are allocated? I mean, isn't that pretty much what economics is? How are scarce resources going to be allocated, either by the government or through voluntary exchange?
Absolutely, either through coercion or voluntary exchange, and that's what it all comes down to.
Well, let's talk about Greece, because it's in the headlines. I used to live there. I used to live on the island of Crete at Heraklion Air Base in 1972, 73, 74, gosh, I think all the way through 76. I used to swim in I think it was the Aegean Sea or the Mediterranean Sea right there. It was a little tiny sliver of a place, Crete, in Greece. And now we see that the government has basically consumed the people's earnings and value. I mean, what happened in Greece?
Oh, public spending went off the rails. You had private, the public sector was, their wages were way out of whack relative to obviously the value they're producing. There's very little that productive that gets done for government, and then the pension that came with that. So you had generations of Greeks retiring, taking massive pensions. And when the government gives that money away, they have to take it away from the productive sector first. And so you've had an entire economy, being stagnated over years of time by this overgrown government system. I mean, stop me if you've heard this one before, because luckily we don't have that problem here in America, right?
So you're talking
then
government pensions, right? Government pensions,
yes.
high minimum wage. In other words, people were being paid wages based on arbitrary figures set by politicians rather than what they could sell their labor for in the marketplace.
Right. And there is, and the Greek economy has had a reputation for this for decades. You know, this is not a new sort of contemporary concern here. You know, this is, you know, people have expected Greek economies to function like this for a long, long time. That is, you know, what made things different is when you had the centralization of Europe following, you know, with the EU. And, you know, you had these agreements that were made less off of sound economic principles and more on political desires. And the whole goal of the EU was to prevent another world war in Europe. Yeah, that was the entire goal. So they were trying to force all these economies together, and they sold it from the larger banner of, trade, you know, you'll be able to travel from country to country and having a United States of Europe. But the reality is that, you know, when you have this one-size-fits-all policy across all lands, now you got Germany bailing out Greece and actually increasing tensions between countries and nations, and having the opposite effect of the entire purpose of the European Union.
And so the European Union was kind of a too big to fail idea, right? It was if enough of us get together, then, you know, we can kind of put Band-Aids on these hemorrhages, these constant bailouts, too big. They wanted to become, because they believed in too big to fail. But what they really did, though, I think, it was kind of like taking aspirin for gangrene to stop the throbbing, right? Eventually, they're going to have to cut off a limb.
Absolutely, and the whole thing is, you know, in an ideal world, you know, Greece would have defaulted years ago. You know, when everyone knew this was you know, the reality, they would have left the euro. They would have brought back the drachma, you know, their currency, their traditional currency, and you know, it would have been painful and it would have been bad. But you know, you'd have had recession, and a lot of banks would have lost their bets. But that's the way a market's supposed to be. That's the beauty, and from that you could have a stable, thriving economy at the other side of things. That's the purpose of recessions in an economy. And unfortunately, that was not allowed to happen. And so, you know, the EU came in, the IMF came in, and they bailed out Europe, or they bailed out Greece, and in doing so the Eurozone. And in exchange, they created a set of rules. You know, you have to raise taxes, you have to make these debt payments, et cetera, et cetera. So then the people got mad, and that's why the last Greek elections, you know, they put in place a left-wing, more socialist party as a response to the international measures placed on them. And now you've gotten the point now where Greece is refusing to pay, you know, holding a referendum on continuing IMF debt payments.
Yeah.
And they're rejecting it, and that's where we have the situation now. So you're going to have, you know, more likely than not, you're going to have Greece finally do a default that they should have done years ago.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In late euro.
So we've got what happened in Greece then is their entitlement spending, right? The government pensions, the high minimum wages,
right,
all of that stuff. So the government essentially consumed the real economy. And so what they did in Europe, because that was happening all over, what they did in Europe then was they tried a too big to fail philosophy with the EU. But, you know, again, that was a phantom solution. It was like taking aspirin for gangrene to stop the throbbing. And eventually now they have to cut off limbs. And it's, I think the real disease, though, and I wonder what you think about this because I just came up with this yesterday. I think the real disease is infectious and deadly, and it's called cronyism. And cronyism is infectious and deadly. I call it now the bubonic plague of economics. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And the really scary thing is that while some of the details are a little bit different, you know, the entire thought process behind these continual bailouts in Greece is replicated throughout Western society. Because one of the if you can find a silver lining on having the whole thing drag out, then the big concern when you have Greece fall is the threat of contagion, right? And that basically is that if Greek banks fail, then other banks that are connected with them will fail too. And that was the same logic behind bailing out on the Wall Street in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
the idea is that, okay, well, since we've now had years of everyone knowing, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, this is probably not going to work out.
Yeah.
Then people have been able to assess their financial assets and protect themselves against a collapse in Greece. Now, some people still were investing, hoping to make major profits, and good for them. They're going to lose those.
Yeah.
But that's the idea. That's the giving them the benefit of the doubt from their perspective.
Right.
Well, that's the same thing that the Federal Reserve is doing with trying to get out of QE. They've been talking about for months now about, okay, getting to the point where we're going to have to raise interest rates away from zero. Oh, it's not going to be this time, but it might be next time. And it's not this. And they're trying to get people to price in the consequences of a rate increase.
Yeah.
And so that's what you have this stutter step.
Yeah.
And trying to give as much signals as possible to hope that, all the consequences that are going to come from these bad government actions, that the market will find a way to bend enough to prevent absolute catastrophe.
Yeah.
And I don't think, but unfortunately, you can't change the realities of economics.
No, you can't change the reality.
The math is going to catch up here.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got the situation in Greece, and here's the thing that cronies don't understand. And though I've been telling it straight here, man. Jay Trumbull, who is our state representative. Whether it's Jay Trumbull, whether it's Steve Sutherland, whether it's the current county commissioners or the current Beach City Council, what they don't understand with their little crony deals that may benefit them in the short term, what they're not getting is if it's bad for the beach, if it's bad for Bay County, if it's bad for Florida, if it's bad for the United States, it can't possibly be good for them. And Greece is an example that it will eventually catch up with you. So Greece is collapsing under the weight of government spending, government eating up as a parasite what they earned there, the people created through productive business. So how does that now affect the United States? Because the stock market took a hit. What is that? How does it affect us?
Luckily, the amount of exposure that U.S. firms have to Greece isn't as great a threat as Europe. Now, the fear is that if you have multiple countries and Europe fall, if Spain falls, for example, then the number of dominoes that start falling will have consequences in the U.S. Now, on the other side, the thing is, this has been a very, very important week because you've had a number of these sort of incidents. Greece is the one that's getting the most attention, just because that's the story that we know, and it's one that we've talked about for years now. The other side of the equation is that within our own sphere, we have Puerto Rico that has basically come out and said we can't pay our debt. In their process, since they're a territory, not a country and not a state, their process is a little bit different than, say, when Detroit falls. And then, perhaps most importantly, is China. Right now has gone. They've been they have a bubble economy. And they have some in the air going out of that right now. So you're having in Asia and Europe and even in the Western Hemisphere, you're having major, trouble spots in government bonds and government assets in the case of China's stock market. And those the connections that has through the global economy. There's nobody that's not hit one way or another through that. So. Well, it's a very, very stressing time.
When we look at locally, and you're familiar with what's going on with the fake spring break outrage, right? Everybody's acting like they're upset with spring break, and we got Wes Pittman, the holier than holy moly, who runs the syndicate of sanctimoniousness here. He said there's not enough water in the Gulf to wash the stench off of the beach. And then he says we've got big developers watching, ready to turn off the spigot. What he's really talking about is the St. Joe Company and the Bay County Commission looking to create the new senior living facility in West Bay, and which is fine. I want to have that, but I want them to earn it. I don't want them to have dollars awarded to them through the local government. But do you know that they made their first of many votes to approve the West Bay's 50-year plan? A 50-year economic plan, though even Stalin limited his economic plans to 5 years. The county commissioners, which I have dubbed the white-ass what is it? The old ass white politicians, the OAWPs, right? They are all Republicans too, and they are now 10 times worse than communists when it comes to their 50-year plan. Is that mind blowing to you?
Oh, it's terrifying, and it's a very depressing time for Bay County. It's a shame, an absolute shame to see, and you know, they're destroying. You know, not just are they spitting in the face of free markets, but I mean they're destroying a traditions, an entire livelihood within Bay County, which is, you know, anybody that has a true love, I think, for for the genuine culture of Panama City and Panama City Beach. It's very tragic to see.
Yeah, it really is. So, have you been keeping an eye on any of the news with Cuba and opening up the embassies or not? Tell us what's going on with Cuba. S. Hannity's hair, the Twitter sensation that follows the show, and on the way in today, I was asking people on Periscope what they wanted to talk about, and he mentioned Cuba. So, what's the basics there? What do we need to know about it?
That is one of the initiatives that the Obama administration has taken on, you know, post 2014. And this is one area where I am in full agreement with the Obama administration. I think more diplomatic ties is always a good idea. I do know that it's very controversial amongst there's a lot of Republican opposition, a lot of old Cuba elements, and it's natural. And I mean, everyone should be horrified by the record of the Castro brothers. But I think I would much rather have diplomatic relations with Cuba or any other country than isolation and a semi-Cold War. So what now the steps that the Obama administration itself has, because it does still occasionally pretend to play by the rules. You know, they can do things like open up embassies. Now, for full trade and actually end the embargo with Cuba, that's going to take legislative action or until the next Supreme Court ruling. You know, who knows? Mm-hmm. But this is opening up the embassy is the first step within the wheelhouse of what the Obama administration can exclusively control. And this is the entire move that Obama has done after the midterm election, is to use his phone and his pen as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so this is one step in that. His Iran negotiations and TPP, Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership. Those I think are what he's looking for to kind of end his legacy in international affairs with. Mm-hmm. You and Jimmy Carter, I think just this week, talked about how Obama has no major accomplishments on the world stage. He is trying to get those now, and that's so you're going to see more of this.
Well, yeah, and because you and I both agree that we ought to have free trade, right, with Cuba, and probably if we don't know that if we had free trade, if Cuba would be more free, but what we do know is the embargo has not helped Cuba become more free. As a matter of fact, it is probably it's easier to argue that it has kept them oppressed. And here's another thing: if you look at the 20th century, you're very, very hard pressed to find two democracies that were that were trading with each other that ever went to war. If you look at the 20th century, if you want less war, fewer wars and conflicts around the world, the best thing you can do is have free trade. I've heard it said, and you may know who said it, but where you have tariffs and borders, you will eventually have wars. If you don't have goods and services going across borders, pretty soon you'll have troops going across borders.
Yes, and I believe it was Bastiat, who I believe actually was the one that talked about goods and services passing over borders, and tanks surely will. Yeah. And actually, it was his birthday on Monday, actually. So
I missed that. Darn it.
Timely reference. But that's absolutely correct, and that's why I think where I do applaud the Obama administration for doing a very delicate and really putting his neck out there is the Iran negotiations. I understand the anger and the hostility that many have against Iran. I understand that it can be a very unpopular move, but there's nothing that could be that would be better off for international affairs than to have a deep-lying relationship between Tehran and Washington. And so I do know, I know there's a lot of concern about the strength that Obama has going into it, and whether he's willing to sell anything for any deal rather than a good deal. But I do think that having a president willing to make those steps, to me, is one of the few times where I can justify giving any hint of praise to the administration.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see more trade too. I just would like to see guys like Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio and others understand the basics of free markets like Republicans should. It is really ridiculous.
Maybe we can trade Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio for a few draft picks from.
Wouldn't that be that's exactly what we should do. Hey, Tho Bishop, you've been generous with your time as always. Everybody was thrilled to have you. And look forward to having you back. I can't wait to see you again. I wish you were here tonight because we're going to be at my favorite saloon with Pastor J.C. Hall and Chris Anwar.
I'll be back down there before too long, and I'm excited to see all the new toys that you're getting to play with.
All right, cool, man. Appreciate it, Tho Bishop. Thanks for helping us understand Greece and Cuba.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Bert.
All right, take care. All right, and that's going to be it. And those of you saying that you can't hear, I'm not falling for the prank on Periscope, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but I'm not derailed easily. And that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for being with us on Periscope, on YouTube, at My Freedom Radio. One word, My Freedom Radio, on YouTube, and of course at myfreedomradio.com. If you're listening on myfreedomradio.com, but you really don't have Periscope yet on your phone, you're missing out, and it's my goal to not let friends drive drunk and to not let friends not have Periscope. So if I see you, I'm going to get your phone and say, hey, here's how you get it, because it's just too good, and I hope that you will on Periscope. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Burnie Thompson, and I will see you tomorrow right here on myfreedomradio.com, Periscope, YouTube, all over. I'll see you then.